Hi Sunil, we are
Hi.
very glad to have you at AI Matters today. You've had such a brilliant career throughout, and you've been a part of the Tata Group. You've been the MD and CEO of AirAsia. How has your journey been? What's the biggest challenge that you've faced? And if I may ask, what are the top three things that you've learned during this entire journey?
Yeah, that's a difficult one to start with, but thank you very much for having me here. It's indeed a great pleasure to be on this Axel podcast. I've completed 39 years in the Tata Group. I retired 3 months ago. And I don't think, as far as my career is concerned, I would have it any other way. It's been a fantastic run. So I was with Tata Steel to begin with. Then I moved to Tata International for a short while. Came back to Tata Steel. After working for 31 years in Tata Steel, I had the opportunity of moving to aviation as the CEO and MD of AirAsia India, which was 51% owned by the Tatas and the balance by the AirAsia Group in Malaysia. And then after 60, I got an extension to set up Aviation Academy for Air India. So that was my last job. The biggest single challenge by far was COVID and being in an airline company when COVID hit. I had moved to AirAsia India. I had moved to Bangalore, and about a year later, COVID hit.
Oh wow,
And,
that's soon.
Very, very soon. And we were part of the AirAsia Group, which had AOCs, or these companies in different airline companies in different countries, including in Thailand and China. And we started feeling that something is happening, maybe sometime around December, January, when China was looking for thermal measuring equipment, and we had lots of it in India. They were running out of it. So we actually got some quantities from different parts of India, sent it to China.
Wow.
Thailand later, about a month, 2 months later, needed masks and PPEs. Again, they were available in India because India had not seen the pandemic yet. And we collected it and sent it to Thailand, not knowing that soon we are going to be hit with it. Even in the middle of March, which is 10 days before COVID shutdown happened in India, our group chairman had asked all the business entities to look at the way they see impact of this kind of disruption which is coming from China. And I think we were the most pessimistic of the lot in terms of business plan impact. We said that probably our business would be impacted by 25% if something of the sort happened. Not knowing that in 10 days' time, it was not that 75% of our business was up, 100% of our business was closed down.
Wow.
So an airline company which is not flying has really no other role. It was a big challenge because suddenly overnight we had 3,000 people who had 90% of them were actually on the field, either flying the aircraft or the ground operations or security. All of them were sitting at home. And we had a big challenge of how to handle it. So two things happened. One was, as part of the AirAsia Group, or any other company in the world, everybody was trying to see what part of the costs could be cut down. In aviation, many of the costs are fixed. For example, the planes, whether you use them or don't, you pay the rentals.
Right.
Those contracts are very tight. It's come hell or high water. That's the term used in the contract. And even later, COVID was not a force majeure event. So those are the costs which were, constantly the meter was running. And the other obvious cost, which most people thought could be cut, was employee costs, because the employees could be let go.
That was the most obvious one, yes.
Because you're not having the operations, you could let go. And in the rest of the group, they decided to let go employees in different ways, either gave them long unpaid leaves or, till things could improve. But in typical Tata way of looking at things, the Tata philosophy, we had decided that we are not letting go any of the employees who have there as much as our stakeholders as a company. And we would pay them the salary. So we took very deep cuts in the salary for the senior leadership, but we didn't cut any salary for the people who were earning less than 50,000 rupees. 50,000 and around that, so which is most of the ground staff and operations and cabin crew, etc.
I must say that That's something only a Tata Group could do.
That's something that I had the confidence of doing only as a Tata person, knowing fully well that my boss would, he would put a lot of pressure on me on all the rest of the costs and the operations, but not on letting go employees for no fault of theirs.
Right.
This is something which was unprecedented. Two things happened. Then we knew that we need to keep the culture going. So we, another smaller company, we used to call ourselves as a small airline startup. We ensured that a lot of our training that we had planned for to be done physically, we very quickly, and our HR leadership very quickly pivoted and ensured that they were able to deliver it virtually. And so we had all the 3,000 people, learning through those periods. Many of those were part of the annual learning plan, but crashed into those weeks. We didn't know when it started as to when it would, end, if at all. So it was a never-ending kind of a thing, and there was a big scare about there was no cure for it as of then. There was no vaccine for it. And the second was we took up all the systems of the company, which were all centrally anchored out of Malaysia, to shift them over here. So all the computer IT related changes were made online by our teams working online with our vendors who are working online. And I think we made AirAsia a far fitter and better organization over the time that we were sitting idle. What happened out of this was that the employees really, so some learnings for me, one is, I think culture comes out in these kind of crises. It's these kind of, when you're tested against something which is untested or which is very difficult, that's when your real culture comes.
Walking the talk.
Walking the talk. We were forced to walk the talk, and we did that with all the support from my board and from the Tata leadership. And the second is, I think the employees get a big sense of comfort that leadership is honest. They probably don't have the answers, but they, at all points, they have our back. So I think we came back much stronger with better systems and better procedures, but more than that, a far better united team. Also unique in airlines is the cabin crew and all are typically, I'd worked 31 years in Tata Steel, and when I came to AirAsia, the average age was less than 31. So the cabin crew were typically in India, you can see these are the people who are, working across states. They moved from their parents' home, young people, kids, 19, 20, 25, staying away from home in building complexes which don't like to have people who are going out for duty and coming back.
Yeah, very true.
So they had to face very difficult times, and at all times we ensured that the senior leadership was supporting them if need be, going and talking to the societies, but also in terms of ensuring that there was groups which were managing to communicate. Every person was communicated at least once every day. So just to ensure
that's amazing.
Yeah, so just to ensure that. So some of my learnings were, the importance of culture and how you get tested when you go through a bad time. The importance of giving hope and making the employee feel that somebody has their back. And the importance of agility. In this case, we had to pivot. Most companies did that, but I think they did it a little later. We managed to do it very quickly.
Sorry.
So those are my learnings, and by far the biggest challenge, leadership challenge of my life. I think the only good thing is that it taught many of us leaders and all the youngsters who went through that as to how I don't think they'll be unfazed if they face very big challenges later, because nobody would have thought of people. We used to plan for disruption planning and for business continuity, where you think that one office could go down or one city has a problem. This was a case where 100% of all across the world, everything went down
altogether,
and no past disruption or business continuity problems had ever thought of this scenario.
And I think this is why the entire Tata Group has this culture that, once you go in, even when I was in college, when anyone used to get placed in TCS, there was like, once you go in, you actually don't come out. So, and the fact is that in many companies, what happens is generally employees do not leave because they're being paid less. They genuinely leave because they feel that there is no sense of growth, there is no sense of culture, they're not taken care of. And I've worked across a lot of corporates and a lot of companies and now working with a so-called non-trust uh, and non-profit, sorry, and I work with government, I work with startups, work with the entire ecosystem. The kind of satisfaction that we get here is very rare to find, and anyone who gets that kind of satisfaction just needs to stick with it,
Yeah,
because no amount of money will actually bring that to you.
I agree.
You have gone through so many phases of growth. You started 39 years in the Tatas, and how do you think AI is changing the face of leadership in today's day and age? Because I know you also understand, and you also know, and you talk about AI a lot. So how do you think the face of leadership is changing?
Yeah. So if I talk about AI, it's bad because I don't understand AI at all or very little. Let me say that I think we are at very early stages of seeing the impact of AI in business. While we can see all the kind of use cases which are going to make the impact, we are seeing specific sectors which have very heavily evolved around AI. But for most of large corporates, the intensity with which AI has got into it, I think it's now started happening, maybe for the last year, and it's evolving very rapidly. So, for many business leaders that I talk to, many of them talk about we are still waiting to see an impactful use case of AI in our industry or the way we run today. So that's where it is. But be that as it may, I'm extremely sure the pace at which AI is getting into solutioning or taking over activities or processes inside of corporates, it's going to happen very quickly, not in years, but in weeks and months.
Very true.
But some things that probably AI may take longer to address are to do with many of the human instincts which come into leadership. It's about judgment.
Yeah.
It's about context. And I'll give you an example. An example of AI is today more used to addressing the metrics, the data. And I'll give you this example I was talking to you a little earlier about. We used to use employee engagement, Gallup, as a tool, which is a perception-based survey. And this is when I was running the global wires business of Tata Steel across India, China, Thailand, and Sri Lanka. And so one of the elements was to look at employee engagement, find the gaps, and how do we, constantly be on a journey of improving our overall engagement of the employees. That's how the organization was concerned. And we had one entity in Thailand, Siam Industrial Wires, which was an absolute global benchmark in terms of its product, in terms of its quality, in terms of the cost position, in terms of everything. It was, the top product which would compete on price with the European and US, and the best manufactured products in Australia, in Middle East, in Europe, in US. And I used to go and meet these teams, and I used to think they are having fun at work. The meetings used to be fun. You could call it almost like if it was flippant, but not flippant. They were very deep. Their metrics and their outcomes were the best in class, but their employee engagement numbers were a little lower than what they were in India. So I had my first conversations with the CEO of that company, who was a Singaporean Chinese person, and we both agreed that there's something that we don't understand. Because the reality is, why are we measuring employee engagement? Because we want to ensure we improve the engagement so that it reinforces or improves the business outcomes, the financial outcome, the quality outcome, the efficiency outcome, the product outcome, all of those outcomes. And on all of those outcomes, we're talking about a company which is a benchmark. And its employee satisfaction, from what we see, they seem to be most engaged, most enjoying, having fun, everything that we want our culture to be, but it doesn't happen. But the employee engagement scores are a little lower. So we realized that it's something that we don't understand, and we decided together that we are not going to address it. So we didn't have an action plan on employee engagement in Thailand for the next couple of years, because we realized don't touch something which you know is not broken, or you don't understand. So I think these are the kind of spaces where an AI can't take over. It will be the human judgment which will, especially across cultures, which will come into play.
This is a classic case where AI bias can actually come into play.
Exactly.
It can
So I think
absolutely.
AI can show you patterns. AI can
Yep.
show you in many of the other industries where I'm advising, and what I see the explosion of data and the ability to take insights out of it. I think AI will play a fantastic role about it.
Absolutely.
But the context and the judgment and the human part of empathy or understanding or getting the feel, I think will always be there. So leadership needs to be very will learn or needs to be careful of how to use this AI kind of output for the specific cases that I'm talking about. For maybe most of the process or hard process cases, it may just be a straightforward answer.
Yeah. So tell me about the first real encounter you had about AI.
Okay, so AI, as we talk about today, I'll come to that later. But both artificial intelligence and machine learning is something that's been going on for many years.
Many years.
I moved into aviation 7 years ago. But even much before that, all of us have been booking tickets
Yep.
of airlines, and you have seen. I think this is the only industry where you have live price comparison across airlines, across flights
Yes.
for so many years.
So many years. Yeah.
So machine learning and part of AI was always part of aviation, and I think revenue management has been the one which has been most ahead in terms of getting that there, and it's amazing how this works live all the time. But for me, two things in my last stint in Air India when we were setting the Aviation Academy, we decided to use Gen AI to the extent possible for training.
Oh, okay.
Example, simple cabin crew comes for training. They get trained on every aspect of the aircraft. I'm talking about the safety and the tech part of the aircraft. So there's trainings, they have manuals, they have processes, they have images, they have trainers, and then they go back. And if they really have an issue, they have to pick up the phone and talk to somebody, or send a mail, or get to somebody. It could be any time of the day or night. The other person could be busy till they get an answer. So we decided to use our own AI backend in Air India to ingest all of these process documents, all of these images, all of these inputs, all of these lectures, all of the PPTs to create online kind of a what we know today as ChatGPT to ask answers. So that they would come for training that had to be physical, but after that, across any device, across any time, across any listen, they could get the answers to do that. I think we were among the early airlines which did that, and so
That's
that was
very
the
interesting.
first use of really Gen AI. And for me myself, I've started using the LLMs only of late, maybe over the last 6-7 months.
There's a lot of buzz around how AI is going to take up jobs. Now, as a leader, do you think actually the job description is going to change? The people need to be empowered, to get AI and be more active in their work, be more productive in their work. What's your thought process around it?
So I have some views, but I'm also an observer of how this pans out. To me, and you see the current level of evolvement of these LLMs, some jobs, uh, I don't know, maybe the question is not about which jobs get eliminated, but the question is more about within the jobs, what tasks get eliminated. So if there's a job which has much of it tasks which are repeatable and which can get easily taken over by AI LLM, then those jobs will be lost. So there will be some sectors, and you can clearly see it whether it's in IT, in software for the jobs which led to coding. Um, uh, in the legal world, the jobs which led to looking at contracts and building or studying them at the lower level. If you look at customer service, the contact centers, the calls which are taken at the contact center. So many of these jobs will be lost. But if these are part of jobs where these are tasks, then those jobs will get redefined to add on more higher end tasks as part of it. So my answer, as I see today, is yes. Jobs will be lost in specific kind of roles that I talked about, but in most of the other roles, the jobs will become much richer because the time which was wasted, I'm now saying wasted, but which was used to find many of the data or many of the
Oh, that was actually the building blocks.
correct.
Yeah.
So those will not be required. So you'll have to do maybe more higher end jobs. And the other aspect clearly is that AI is going to create new jobs.
Yeah.
So how will this balance the jobs which are lost, or jobs which have tasks which are largely going to get shut down because of AI, and the jobs which will come up because AI is going to bring in those jobs? How will this balance be? Intuition tells me that the jobs which will come with AI are going to be much lesser in numbers than the jobs which are going to get lost. I think for where India is, it will be a bigger hit for a country like India, which over the last 20, 25 years has built its capability and capacity to be able to provide these kind of support jobs. So it's a challenge. If I was in a software company, I'd be worried.
Yeah. I agree. But again, I read a lot of books, and my inference is that, if you are creative, if you know how to learn and equip yourself fast, then, you make AI work for you, and you will actually not
Yeah, so
lose your
there
job.
will
You
be.
just improve.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there will be laggards and there will be people who will be pioneers in this. I think the age group is going to make a lot of difference. Like we talk about digital natives, the Gen Z or Gen Alpha, whatever that is.
Gen Z right now,
Gen
next
Z
Gen
and Gen
Alpha.
Alpha. So who is the digital natives? I think they are born digital. The younger generation, more of the Gen Alpha, are AI natives. So they think and start, thinking AI. While the older generation needs to get into accepting
Right.
AI as the first uh, door in which they can ask many of the questions rather than go around. I think so. It will be the challenges will be different across different age groups. I think people. I'm so happy I've retired, but the people who are
Are you?
the people who are in organization and corporate careers who are in the later part of their lives, they need to very quickly see that. They are on top of AI and not threatened by AI. It's similar to what happened when IT came in, and much of our generation made the best out of it compared to the generation previous to it, who felt very threatened about it. I think it's the same case with AI. The difference being AI is now changing or improving at a rate where I'm quite sure that the world models and this artificial general intelligence that people are talking about uh, is around the corner, maybe in short years and not in decades.
Yeah. No, definitely not in
Yeah.
decades. Sunil, a final question. So now, if you're going to take over a very large organization, what are the first few AI related questions that you would ask to your team?
Okay. So if it is a large organization which has been, something which is perpetuating over the last many years, I don't think I'll ask a question as to what are the AI issues that you're addressing. I'd rather ask the question as to what are the biggest pain points for your achieving your goals or your defining success, and have you tried to detail it out and understanding how could AI help you. I think that would more be the way of asking the question, because uh, the way of looking at it in the other manner may not be the right manner, because not everybody has that conversant. Maybe people don't know how much of AI has happened. Maybe their organization is not as ready to answer it in those terms. But it's very important for them to know or make the efforts to understand as to how they will address their big issues using AI, and knowing that AI has changed many things which were not available in the past.
Thank you. That is really brilliant, because, as they say, everyone talks about AI, but there are very few people, who really understand how AI works and how can they put AI to work for them. And I think that's a wonderful approach that any leader can have. And with that, we end the AI Matters session for today. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart, because every time I see you here, every time I talk to you, it's like I learn something.
Wow.
And today's conversation has been extremely enriching. Thank you for being who you are. because people like you, I don't know, you walk and you just light up the room and you teach people subconsciously so many things. So it's always a pleasure to be around you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.